Hey everyone, this is Miles Shank, and this is kind of a follow-up video to the unboxing of the Ultra 7 I did like probably a couple months ago now. I've gotten to use it in the real world and in some weather and in the sun and all that, and got a little feedback for you now. So right off the bat, just wanted to kind of show these side by side again. The Ultra Bright 7-inch and the Ultra 7, which is kind of the predecessor. And honestly, in just a short little synopsis, I would say it is the Ultra Bright 7-inch upgraded to everything you really wanted it to be in this model. Now, the one thing I noticed when I first started using it is this has an internal fan now. So that does kind of help because I feel like you could fry an egg on the Ultra Bright. It got pretty hot, and that was always a little bit concerning because you have this like battery bracket, and I don't think batteries love heat that much. So I don't know if that was like costing you some lifespan of the battery or something like that. I will say the fan, not really noticeably. If you're accustomed to like shooting interviews or something where like you'll go through like the length of a battery and you know that a battery gets you like 50 minutes or whatever it might be. I think I noticed like a little more power draw from this thing, the Ultra 7. I mean, it's not really that noticeable, but I used to do a shark fin and I could get, you know, an hour and 20-minute interview or something like that off of my batteries, and now it only goes down to like 50 minutes or an hour or something like that. So it definitely uses like a little bit more power, but honestly, it's not really that noticeable. A big difference here is that the plugs, obviously, on the Ultra Bright, as you know, come out the sides. It can come out this way with HDMI. Now on the Ultra 7, as you show in the unboxing video, the plugs all come out of the bottom now, kind of like pretty much all the other models, I believe, of SmallHD on-camera monitors come out of the bottom. So this one, I have the camera control set up for ARRI, which I really like. So sometimes if I'm operating on an easy rig, I might not even use the EVF. Like sometimes I'll just pull it off to keep the build a little more compact. And I'll just use camera control because it's pretty intuitive. Kind of like all your base level things you might want to change, you can do on here, and not necessarily the deeper menu items. You'll definitely want your EVF on standby for that, or just use your browser control through your phone or iPad or whatever. So power up the camera, power up the monitor, and I never noticed until I started using this that the Ultra Bright 7 feels like it has almost like a half millisecond lag, like the tiniest little lag that I've never noticed until I started using this guy. And this just feels like a modern device feels like using your phone. It's very responsive, like when you're poking around in there. So yeah, I kind of forget that it's touchscreen, so I still use the buttons all the time. But the one thing that I use touchscreen for all the time is camera control. And so that's a cool feature. You have to get the license for it, which is like 500 bucks, which I guess it's worth it. It just seems like a lot for software, but I don't know, it's probably ARRI really. Everything ARRI is expensive. So the touchscreen is so nice because, like I said, if you don't have your EVF on here or you just don't feel like using it or something, you have basic controls here. So you can obviously change like your frame rate. You do have like your time code and everything up there. Very easy to pop that up. Shutter speed, super easy to change. And of course, you can change your NDs on there if you don't want to use the hotkeys on the side or programmable keys. Yeah, your EI or ISO. You can always change your look on here as well. And then of course your white balance, which I don't know about like adding in green or magenta, but that might be like probably a deeper menu item. But at least you can flick through like daylight, tungsten, you know, whatever. And you can add customs, which is kind of nice. Yeah, put your playback in that corner, records right there. So it's pretty easy to use. It kind of has a very basic menu. They could definitely add more things onto it. So I do wonder if like future updates will have more in camera control. I think for the money, I would like to see camera control do more. I'll leave it there. I do like how far the distance is with the SDI here. The one thing I've noticed for mounting it on like my Cyclo in particular is like the bracket on that comes out to here, and I have to basically use a monitor battery to power it because this power plug gets blocked by that mounting bracket. I'll probably just have to get a different mounting bracket and swap it out. Also, I don't know why, but like I like to mount my arms like typically like over that way. I don't know if it's just easier to kind of pull it up, but I can't do that now. So I always have to have the monitor arm basically straight out, which, you know, it's not really a big deal either. So I do kind of wish that the DC, like the plug here was like, I don't know, over, or maybe even on this side or something. That'd be kind of cool. But I guess for like a clean build, it is kind of nice to have it closer to the arm. That's really the only issues I have with this thing. So far, it's been amazing. I've used it in the rain now for 2 different day shoot, and it was like kind of a drizzle all day. And this thing was just like, I'd just wipe it off, and it just powered through. So, I mean, the only thing I was worried about, of course, is the camera, which we had wrapped up. So it's nice to be able to like, just kind of throw some plastic around your rig. I wouldn't use it in like the direct rain, definitely not submersible. But as far as like the screen, you don't really have to be afraid of the screen and the buttons and the joystick getting wet. Like no longer, like if I had a friend who was filming a music video and on a Steadicam, and he was using an older monitor, and they like popped champagne or something like that, and they didn't tell him, and it sprayed all over his rig and like his monitor and everything. I think it fried his monitor. So they, I think, just bought him a new monitor or something like that. But he's been, I think, using the same one now, and it's champagne proof, so note that. The only thing I noticed too was I did get these lines one time, and it kind of was repeatable. Like I would like turn it on and off and on and off, and then would still have these just very faint lines. You barely notice it, but you still notice it. I emailed SmallHD and they said, hey, send it in. So before I could send it in, I had another shoot and I didn't see the lines. I haven't seen them since. So the software is up to date, but it looks like maybe it's something that like a software update in the future could solve. So hopefully they're aware of that. If it is an issue, actually my friend who had the champagne on his Steadicam, he has the same monitor, and we actually were like texting each other because we both saw the same lines. So I don't know if it's like a batch of these or something that's doing something weird like that, but it did it for like 2 or 3 days, very repeatable, and then it has stopped. So I don't know what's going on with that. But everything else about this monitor is fantastic. So I did end up getting the battery bracket, which I didn't have when I first got it. It holds obviously a gold mount, or you can get a V mount. Holds it very secure. It's not like rattly or shaky. Really, I have no other complaints. I mean, as far as build quality, it's about the best built monitor I've ever had on camera. I love SmallHD's on-camera monitors. But yeah, I mean, it's like the machined aluminum. It does get hot, but it controls the heat better with the fan. And it just seems healthier. Like the heat's not gonna destroy the internals or anything because it's getting hot. It's like their heat management is better, I feel like, on this one. The buttons, comparing them, are like pretty good. I mean, the buttons on the first one were fantastic too, but it's nice to know that these buttons are like a little more water resistant. They have a nice little tactile feel to it. But I'm not worried now if it is sprinkling on set, you know, and we start throwing trash bags and plastic over everything. The monitor is no longer like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get fried monitor, like any of that. There is like a little like lock button here on the side, which is kind of nice. You can lock the touch screen. So if you do make this into like a director's monitor or something like that, which I do have the little Nisi handles, you can just throw those on there. They, you know, if like a director or somebody's handling one of these and you're like, you know, they might be touching the screen or something, poking at something, you can just throw that lock on, and then you don't have to worry about, you know, menus popping up and all that. As far as a monitor, it's great. I mean, the fan is like on, can't even hear it. I've only heard the fan when I'm like in a super quiet environment, but your sound guy's never gonna hear it. It's pretty quiet. It does have these like kind of little, not cheese, but you know, it's got like 1/4-20 bolt on the side with the little space for like locking pins. So you can easily put the handles on it. I believe Wooden Camera makes them, Nisi makes them, and yeah, there's like some cheese on the top. And really, it's just a great monitor. I do recommend it. It does have headphones out, which I've never used that, might never use that, but I think the first one had it too. It's just great. I highly recommend it. Check it out.